Hello and welcome to the show. We start this week's FailRace episode on GTA 5 with an AI doing AI things. I don't quite know what's caused this particular... I don't know whether the rocket on the bike being locked onto it occasionally freaks it out. I think it was already parked out there and starting doing weird things on its own. The lock-on might not have helped, but yeah, the Huntley is just going around all over the place. I think it's a high. They're going crazy, and then they decide the best solution is to get out of the car and just leave it. Just leave it there and pretend nothing has happened. I mean, what else? Oh, and then answer the toilet phone, of course. What else can you do at that particular point? Speaking of AI shenanigans, SkyBlue Scholar, also on GTA 5. Now, they have made their way into the army base, as you do. When the random traffic that drives, I say random drives around here, the army vehicles and so on, there is a truck that doesn't quite know where to go. For want of a better, I don't know what its plan is. It's managed to drive into here, with what I would imagine would be a very expensive jet, drive around, almost knock into a missile pod, that then gets spat away, doesn't blow up the missile pod, which is something, and then just crashes into the jet. For good measure. The player promptly falls off said jet. Amazingly, doesn't get run over by the truck, which is something. They can manage to get themselves out of the way before the truck goes back to pushing the jet. I feel like they have stuff for moving jets around, and it's not just randomly bump it with a truck, and it's now crashed into a different thing. It's not the best piece of manoeuvring I think the AI ever done. Kit is up next on GTA 5, this time not with the AI getting confused with manoeuvring. Oh no. They are driving the mule. They're in a police chase, trying to deal with, trying to lose the cops for whatever mission they may be on, and have the bright idea to jump into the storm drain. Okay, decent enough plan actually. When they bump the top part of the kind of sewer, it does a flip. Manages to land on its wheels. Good. Wedged. Bad. It's not quite where you want your truck. I think with enough shuffling and enough of a burnout, you could probably eventually get that free. Just not quite the grand plan they had for getting away. BreadBowl is up next on Horizon 5. Also finding ways to get things stuck. This time, slightly differently to a mule. You've got a Porsche, although it also goes for a flip, this time managing to get stuck vertically on the wall, although it's only briefly. Loses point to the fact that it fell off on its own, but still quite impressive area to manage to get stuck on. GunBladeLad is up next on goes Recon Wildlands, and they are finding a big old, unarmoured, what is it, an APC of some sort. I don't know much about these vehicles, but this is a pretty heavy-duty vehicle. Should be able to take a few bullets, should be quite good for whatever mission might be going on. What it's less good at is climbing over concrete. Yeah, it might be, armoured and everything. However, turns out concrete beats APC. In fact, that's why you have those great big tank stoppers, I guess, made out of concrete. Sure, why not? But it's actually quite well balanced on the middle. It's managed to balance it almost perfectly, actually, on this. It's in the middle. It's not the front and the rear is not tipping off. It's quite well done. Air Ghost is up next on Call of Duty. I tried to brighten it. It's recorded a bit of a weird brightness. I've tried to kind of brighten it, but it's still not. It still looks a bit funky, but that's just what it is. However, this Jeep turns out it is magical because as it goes off a cliff, well, it can hover. Although it hovers in an awkward way that's not so good for the player. They cling on for quite a while, actually, until it does deposit them somewhere. The Jeep coming back down to land. But, yeah, hover Jeeps, new technology. New technology indeed. Racer Gamer up next on Need for Speed Rivals. They are trying to chase down a Porsche. Going for a pit maneuver, just trying to do damage almost to it on the bridge when they get things a little bit wrong, ping off of a railing, and it's many spins and off the bridge with you. Yeah, I think it was like a swerve to avoid a little obstacle, kind of overcorrection that smacked them into that inside wall. And yeah, not what you wanted. TheStepForward up next on Farming Simulator. Now, they are playing things very sensibly. Nothing, ridiculous is being done here. They're trying to load up this truck. Now, we all know what farming sim physics are going to do. And it's not even because of shenanigans going on here. They are literally going to try and move the truck to a slightly different location. Well, it got moved. It wasn't the location they expected it to, and I don't know why it just decided to ping itself across the map for no... It wasn't like it was getting squished by other vehicles or anything. It just had enough. It just had enough and pinged itself across. Dave the Dog up next on CyberPunk is doing some hacking. It's been a long time. I can't remember how all of this works on this game. However, I don't remember there being a hack that would cause vehicles to kind of go for a flight. I mean, it would be it would make a great distraction. You know, if you needed to break into somewhere, you could just launch vehicles around. Great distraction. Don't think that's what was supposed to happen. But it was cool nevertheless. Douglas is on beam with our next clip, going astonishingly fast in reverse. Honestly, quite impressive, but funnily enough, difficult to control a car when it's going that quickly in reverse. And now we're going to go for many, many rolls, and I would imagine much sick would be coming out by about this point. Some ways maybe slightly better than just hitting a wall at 400 and something kilometers an hour, but yeah, that's a big one. And finally, we have 2-stroke for me on Assetto Corsa with a pile-up of AI cars. These things do happen. It's not the narrowest of circuits, but yeah, they've got a big old pile-up going on here. You know, one of those track-blocking crashes, and when it just looks like everything's getting under control, we have a ping as I think it's a Ferrari, went off into the sky, and a Celine went off through the floor. Yep. I mean, the actual initial crash is an easy enough mistake to make. It's a little bit too much understeer out of what I presume is the final corner. I don't recognise this circuit for the Viper. They recover it, but they end up being slow, and then everything behind is, well, a bit the Viper's attempt to rejoin really kind of made things worse, as everything is sort of piling into it, and cars further back can't quite get stopped. And yeah, as more and more vehicles sort of pile into it, off goes a Ferrari and off goes the Celine. Up until that point, I mean, it was a silly crash, but up until that point, it was going, I mean, slightly more sensibly, if you will. I mean, this is on board with the Celine, so you don't see the initial, because there's kind of 3 or 4 separate crashes going on here. The Celine arrives late, and bounce goes the Ferrari, and around goes the Celine and off through the floor, and all the wibble physics has happened. I mean, we're talking about only about 5,000 kilometers an hour compared to some of the launches that we've had in this game. It's not that much. A bit weird in terms of graphically what happens, but yeah, you know, you gotta have that track blocking crash at some point along the way. That, though, is going to be it for this series. As ever, if you have clips you'd like to submit to this one, you can via a Google form, and we do very much be needing more clips for this series, if the series is to keep going and everything. All the rules and how it works can be found on that Google form. That, though, shall be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.